down in Carolina, Kevin, about how it was after those 3 good games and that was sort of a disappointing effort. What about it, looking back on it now, were some of the more disappointing aspects of it?
I thought our post defense really lacked. Our anterior defense was just not good. Our mentality towards rebounding, especially out of our zone, wasn't good. You know, our transition defense wasn't what it had been. It had been pretty solid, and it wasn't what it needed to be. It all really. I mean, offensively we were fine, but I wasn't disappointed in us offensively. But I was just disappointed defensively in our execution and, in some cases, effort and our rebounding mentality and some of those things.
Do you wish Marquise Reed was still at Robert Morris?
Yeah, he's good. He's a good. I mean, he looks good on film. Good defender, good shooter, off the dribble. I didn't even, literally until today, I had somebody tell me that I didn't even know that he had transferred there from Robert Morris. But yeah, he's that's a good transfer for Clemson and having a good year. They just play so well together. They do a great job of sharing the ball and they're shooting the ball extremely well, and you know their effort both in terms of getting to the foul line and their converting at the foul line is terrific. And I mean, so they got a lot of things going in a good direction right now.
In your experience in college basketball, Kevin, you know, with someone like Reed who starts out at Robert Morris, how does somebody like that fall through, you know, kind of fall through the cracks?
Well,
he's capable of being the top scorer on a top 20 team.
Yeah, I don't. I think there are different reasons. Sometimes he gets labeled. A guy get labeled as a mid-major player, a low-major player, and sometimes guys just develop later. You know, sometimes they go to a school and then you know they improve and they really work at their game and they become much better players and their body develops or whatever, and so they play themselves into being a high major player. Maybe they weren't when they were in high school. You know, less and less these days are guys overlooked, but I think guys are misevaluated. I mean, I think back at some of the best players that you know that I've had, and they were misevaluated, so you know, I don't think it takes a genius in recruiting to figure out a guy once he goes to a college, and you know, I don't think that. When you're trying to get a kid to, you know, he's going to transfer from whatever, Robert Morris, whatever. I mean, you know, that's not evaluating. That's just getting lucky on the rebound, you know. But obviously, what Robert Morris did was evaluating because they out-evaluated people and got a kid that was really, really good.
In terms of Marcus Carr's progression this year, I don't know how many freshman starting point guards you had in your time at Vanderbilt. I think maybe Wade Baldwin and Brad Tinsley were a couple that I saw, but how does he sort of compare to when you've had a freshman playing that position for a full season, you know, at this level?
It's kind of interesting because Shelton Mitchell, Clemson's starting point guard, he kind of split time with Wade that year. Their freshman year, they were freshmen together, and Shelton actually started the season as our starting point guard. So it's happened, I don't know, it's happened 2 or 3 times in my career at least, I think. But Marcus is developing nicely, and I think that he's seeing the game even more maturely. I think he's got an advanced outlook on the game anyway, or perspective of the game anyway, but I think that that is growing for him as it should be with all of the playing time that he's gotten. But you know, he played really well at Carolina. I thought he played a very good game at Miami. I mean, he's had some really solid games for us recently, and nice to have lullabies in here to sleep. Maybe we can all just take a
That's my
little,
phone, I'm sorry.
take a nap. Is that your phone?
Yes.
Well, Jerry, we'll just take a nap. That's okay. I think that Marcus's development is going much like we would. You sure it's going to stop? Much like we had hoped that it would, but I think he has a lot of upside still, as well, and a lot of room to grow, which makes it even more exciting.
When you said advanced outlook to start with, I mean, how is that the case basically? What did you see from him?
I just think he's a mature. I think he's our youngest player age-wise, but he's got an advanced feel for the game, an advanced feel for what to do and what needs to be done, and he's one of those guys that understands not only his position. He understands other positions and what other guys are supposed to be doing, and when they do it wrong or where they're supposed to be. He sees when something breaks down, why it breaks down, and much like a coach, he kind of has a feel for what's supposed to happen, why it's supposed to happen, or when it doesn't happen, what the cause and effect is. And most college players and most of our players, they're just playing. But Marcus has that instinct and that knowledge of what's supposed to be going on in a very advanced way for a guy his age, for sure.
How do you see him just react to, the sort of things you see as a freshman when you find out what maybe something that worked for you before maybe doesn't work now, or things you find out that you're not as good at this on this level, basically you need to get better at it? How do you see him sort of work on things that...
Well, really well. He's a student of the game. He wants to see his film after games. He wants to see his mistakes. He wants to learn and grow. And it's been a process, because obviously early in league play, he couldn't do some of the same things that he was doing in non-league play, and so then he started struggling. Then he lost a little bit of confidence, and there were turnovers and a lot of missed shots, and now he's kind of working his way back to where he's making the easy plays, making the right play most of the time. He's taking the right shots. The ball's starting to go in for him again, but he wants to know, and he's as disturbed or disappointed probably as anyone in the locker room when he doesn't play well, so it's important to him. He wants to be a good player. He doesn't want to let his teammates and his coaches down. But he has an advanced perspective on the game. He's just advanced to his age.
You were talking a little earlier, Kevin, about the evaluation process. With guys like Marcus and Shamil, who played with guys like R.J. Barrett and DeAndre Ayton, their senior years of high school. I mean, how difficult, or what's made the trickiest part of evaluating guys who are playing with such high-end prospects and projecting them to the college level when you see them play? Because within the context of that team, like that, those guys I had mentioned earlier, maybe they're go-to players. What's kind of the trickiest part of navigating that and projecting them?
That's a good question, because sometimes guys tend to be overlooked when they're the second best player on the team, at this level at least. And I think that a couple of things. One, you just have to evaluate what it is that you see and what it is that you project. You can't evaluate a guy that's 6'5" to DeAndre Ayton, and who's 7 feet tall and whatever. Top 5 draft pick probably this year, they say. In Marcus's case, it was a little different for me, because I got to see him outside of that team with his AAU team, and so I saw Marcus get 36 or 37 one day in Indianapolis, and 33 one day in Milwaukee, I think, and so I got to see him in an environment where he wasn't maybe facilitating quite as much as he was having to be the guy. And so I think that was beneficial for my ability to evaluate what I thought he could do.
Do you think Marcus is going to be a facilitator his whole career, or do you think he could turn into a two-guard and be a really good scorer?
I don't know that Marcus will turn into a two-guard. I just think Marcus is a guy that can play off the ball. So if you've got another guy that's capable of handling the ball in the game with him, Marcus is as comfortable off the ball as he is with the ball. And again, he understands what everybody's supposed to be doing. So he understands when he's off the ball how to position himself to best be able to make a play. So I don't envision ever turning him into a two-guard as much as there could certainly be a time that we play with 2 point guards, or there's certainly a time that we could have another guy be the primary ball handler and him play off the ball. But Marcus is a good guy at running the show, but you know, as we continue to add players to our program, and we've got a couple of guys coming in next year that qualify under this, or I say coming in, one's already here, but that some of those ball handling responsibilities could be a little more evenly distributed. Marcus has a lot of ball handling responsibility for this team, and it would be nice to take the load off of him sometimes, and sometimes we do that when he and Millie play together. But I envision going forward that we could take even more of that off of him and maybe utilize his whole skill set a little bit more.
Kevin, I was at Duquesne this morning, and Keith was talking about how you have to celebrate small victories, whether that's a stretch in a game, whether it's something good in practice. Has your team been receptive to that concept of, you know, even if you don't come out with a win, of celebrating certain segments of games?
Fortunately, they have been. I continue to try to be somewhat creative in my approach and trying to keep their ears, because I mean, this weighs on all of us. It does, but you know, they've had, even this week, and we had a tough night on Saturday night, but you know, yesterday and today we had 2 upbeat, high energy practices, and so that's encouraging to me, because I do feel like our guys are getting better. Now, this is not a great league to be going out and just trying to get better in, because it's, you know, it's a hard reality, you know, night after night after night, but you know, again, I think that as a coach, I can see individual guys really making big step progress. Sometimes it's little steps at a time, but if I look back at December and now I look right now at, say, Terrell Brown, or look back at the beginning of the conference season and look now at Marcus Carr, you know, or a number of our guys. I mean, guys have made, beginning of the season, and Parker Stewart right now, they've made huge gains. So, yeah, we have to celebrate those successes and celebrate their progress and improvement, all the while continuing to try to get better so we can knock this door down and get some wins.
What are some, you mentioned some of the creative things you've been trying. What are some of those that you're trying to get guys to see the positive even in a result that may not seem to be?
Well, yeah, I think that, you know, one that comes to mind is first half at Duke. We're going along and the game's relatively okay. Then we have 2 or 3 turnovers in a row, and then the avalanche hits, and we're down whatever it was, 22 or 18 or something at halftime. I mean, they busted us in the last 4 or 5 or 6 minutes of the first half, whatever it was. And but I think we had 11 turnovers at halftime, and you know, I couldn't sit in there in the locker room and say to these guys, okay, we're going to come back and beat Duke in the second half. We're going to erase this 22-point lead and, you know, win going away. That wasn't probably going to resonate very much. So I I said to them, I said, let's just see what happens in the second half if we cut our turnovers to 5 or less. And we turned the ball over 4 times in the second half. We lost the second half by 5 points, I think it was. And but after the game, I said, okay, let's just look at this for a second. 11 turnovers in the first half, we're minus 22. 4 turnovers in the second half, we're minus 5. I mean, that's got to say something to us. And so that's an example of trying to find a positive in, you know, a negative. I don't know if that's being creative or not, but that's one example that I can think of.
This season must tax a lot of your coaching strategies and coaching motivations or manipulations that you've learned over the years. I mean, you have to, what are the different things you have to think of?
Yeah, the bag has had to. I've had to go deep into a lot of things that I've learned, and I've also. But you know what? I think that one thing that's made it. One thing that's made it so much more tolerable, I guess, is the best word I can think of, is the players' attitudes. I mean, I continually have people saying to me, you can tell they're trying their butts off, they're paying attention in huddles, you know, they're engaged, they're listening, and that has made this harder in the respect that I desperately want success for them because they deserve it, but also easier from the standpoint that, I mean, I wake up every day just knowing that I have to encourage these guys and stay positive and do my best to bring out the best in them, and then acknowledge that best that comes out. And so I'm grateful for their attitudes. They've been terrific to coach, really terrific, and that's an uncommon thing for me to say, probably for most coaches to say when you've lost 11 in a row. Because losing stinks. And it's no fun for them, and it's no fun for us, and it's not fun for anybody. So that's why I just hope that we can do something down the stretch here to give them a good feeling, you know, going into the off season.